Welcome to the Unpause Your Dreams podcast, the show where dreams aren't just visions, they're the reality we're here to help you craft. I'm Charlene Ridley, your guide on this transformative journey. Each episode will delve into the art of dreaming big, the power of perseverance, and the strategies to turn aspirations into tangible accomplishments. Whether you've put your dreams on the back burner or feel stuck in the what's next, together we'll hit play on your potential. So dreamers, innovators, and go-getters, let's dive in and unpause your dreams so that you can live now. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Unpause Your Dreams podcast. I'm your host, Charlene Ridley, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm a dream development coach that likes to say I help people take their someday dreams and make them right now realities. What does that mean? Typically, I work with people who are just sick of working for other people and know that they want to do something else, but they think that it's another job. What we realize, though, is that it isn't always another job, and so there's no need to job hop or industry jump when you can go ahead and create money by doing the things that you love. So with that said, I'm a specialist in figuring out what you're passionate about and then creating ways to monetize it. But in addition to that, I believe in fully living all of your dreams, and not every dream is attached to money. So this episode, this podcast is all about living your dreams, unpausing your dreams, and daring to live them now. I hope that all of the content that you hear here today will be tips and strategies that will help you start to live now. I'm recording this live from my studio in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is the Unpause Your Dreams Creative Studio, and I'm really excited about this week's topic and just to sit down and have this conversation. So this week, we will be talking about building community. Building community is so important. Number one, it is one of the things that people dream about. People may not openly say it, but I hear people all the time saying, oh, I need new friends, or I've moved to a new city and I really don't have my tribe yet, right? I don't know who my people are. All of those things are indications that we have an inner dream or longing for connection and to build community and have people in our lives. Now, I know some of you may say, I don't like people, Charlene. I am a loner and I prefer to be by myself. I have to say this, and this is just as real as it can be. If you're a person that believes that you don't like other people and you don't need other people, that is typically a response to trauma, and it is something that you can heal. Because here's the reality. We are human beings, and we were not meant to be living life and going through the world alone. We were meant to be in community, building and having relationships, because all of those relationships, every one of them, from your work relations to your familial relationships, are resources that actually help you accomplish all of the things that you want in life. So I want you to hear me say this. If you are a person that thinks, I am not a people person, right? I don't like people. I don't want to be around people. There's an opportunity for you to heal that. In fact, I used to be one of those people. I used to, because of childhood trauma, because of the disappointments of adults that were supposed to be in places of protection and security for me, I didn't trust people for a long period of time in my early adult life. But I've now, since through the work of transformational leadership, professional development, therapy, reading books, a whole host of activities, inner child, reparenting my inner child, all of that sort of thing, I have been able to heal from my distrust of people, and I consider myself now a very trusting person. But along with the healing that it took to get to this place, it took learning to trust myself again, because in trusting myself, I understand that people are people. No one is infallible. People will disappoint you. They will hurt you at some point in time. But I trust myself to be able to handle those disappointments as they may arise and to not be forever wounded by them, so much so that it shuts me down and that I shrink in life in the position that I am in or that I'm meant to be in. So I hope that that alone helps you. But as we dive into building community, it is so important. I've already talked about how community can be a resource. Let me give you a story about how community can be a resource in building this creative studio. So you see me sitting, if you're watching on YouTube, you see me sitting in the Unpause Your Dreams podcast room. But outside of these doors, there are 2,200 square feet, and it is 12 sets of background and furniture for you to really come in and create whatever you want. And it is for photographers, it is for creatives, it is for women looking to be inspired and to do branding shoots and to create content, to do whatever your heart desires. But when I was creating this space, I didn't have a plan to do this at the moment. As a matter of fact, when this opportunity came around, it was an idea that I had shelved. So for 2 years, I was looking for creative space or space to create what I thought was just going to be an event space. And well, it wasn't just going to be an event space. Let me rephrase that. I'm a speaker and I fly around the country, I get on stages, I speak, right? But I kept saying I wanted to do my own conferences, host my own events, and speak at my own events. And as I was looking in the market, in the Charlotte market, the cost of renting space for these events was so incredible that I was like, you know what? I just need to build a space and make it for myself. So that's how the idea of an event space originally came about. For 2 years, I searched for an event space, and quite frankly, commercial leases in the Charlotte, North Carolina area were just outrageous. And I was like, there's no way, because even if I'm going to go into this with the idea that it'll be beneficial to me and my speaking business, I'm not going to go into something that is going to cost me money and not have the capacity to make money and be another line of income for me in my life. And I kind of tabled the idea. I said, okay, in my mind, there's a motto that I live by, and it's no means find another way. But I also know that when I'm up against a no repeatedly, I take a break for something. I take a break, I step back, I table it, I pause it for a second, knowing that I will come back and unpause it later. So I went on 2 years. At this particular point in time in November of 2023, I was opening an Airbnb in Nashville, Tennessee, when this opportunity came available. I happened to be walking by the studio one day and I saw it and I was like, ooh, curious, but I didn't check into it, right? I didn't do anything with it. A few weeks later, it actually came on the market and it said for lease. And I was like, okay, I should look into this. I called, I talked to them. They said, no event spaces. We don't want any event space. And I was like, okay. I actually hadn't even disclosed to them that I was thinking about for an event space. They said, what is your idea? And I am a person that thinks about what it is that makes my life more convenient, easier, and it makes it more fun to accomplish the things that I need to. And one of the things that was really nice to me was content studios, right? I am a business owner, I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, and so that requires you to create content. But up until opening this studio, I was not necessarily a person, I'm not even going to say not necessarily, I did not like creating content. I didn't like taking pictures. I was the person that hid when you pulled your phone out. So getting me to take pictures was a big deal. If you were going to get me to take pictures, which I had to for content, then I was going to bring 10 outfits with me and be there for 2 hours, change as many times as possible, and get as much content done as possible. So it was really important for me to be in a space that had multiple scenes. So as I was on the phone talking to the property manager, that's what I said. I was like, okay, I'm creating a content studio, a creative studio that will also have professional development space and workshops for women. And actually, I didn't say for women because at that time I did not know it was for women. That came much later in the build. But that's how the idea was born. And they loved the idea. And then very quickly, right, I get the approval from them to go ahead and submit all of my paperwork for consideration to lease the space. Guys, I have to be honest with you. When I got this approval, I was a little taken aback because I was working on the Airbnb. If you guys know me, and if you don't, I'll explain it to you. I am a sprinter. I like to think of people as sprinters and marathoners. Sprinters are people that need to run fast and hard on a project for a very short period of time. They don't have this long-term stamina or endurance or even interest in running long-term marathon projects. Then there are marathon runners. These are the people that are slow, methodical, and can run long-term on a project because they have the stamina, the interest, the motivation to stay with it, the stick-to-itness to stay with it. For me in my life, I have realized, also in coaching my clients, I've realized that it is really important that you know which one you are. So I'll give you an example. If you are a person that has been thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it for years, and you've not accomplished it, you're probably not a marathoner. You're a sprinter. If you're a person that can decide something and then go to work and get it done very quickly, then of course you're a sprinter. So in the project with the Airbnb, I was like, okay, I signed all of the paperwork to get my Airbnb in Nashville in October. I was going to move in November and have it on the market in 3 days. But then this opportunity comes up and they're saying, Charlene, go ahead and submit your paperwork. And to be honest, I got a little scared. Like, wow, can I take on 2 projects at the same time? And I want to share that with you guys that yes, I got scared because oftentimes we see people that are doing incredible things and we think they don't get scared. They don't get scared. They just go, go, go. But that's not true, guys. We get scared too. But what you will realize over time is that fear will come up whenever you're about to do something new or something that you deem important or something that's unfamiliar, right? And as you continue to move through fear to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, you will become more confident. And then when fear comes up, you're like, okay, I can withdraw this from my confidence bank account. I faced fear before. I've done it. Let's go, right? So in the instance of this studio, though, I was afraid. And so I sat on it for about 2 to 3 days thinking, okay, Charlene, you are a sprinter. Can you run hard realistically to open 2 foreign things at the same time? Because this was my first Airbnb. And I wasn't sure. And that following Monday, the property manager called me back and asked me, like, she's like, oh, we haven't seen your information come over. I thought you were very excited. We have a lot of other people that are interested. Would you like to move forward? And I made a decision, like, you know what? I am going to go for it. For me, the decision to go for it and do everything that I dream of is deeply rooted in a traumatic incident that I had in June of 2023. My 16-year-old son did not wake up in the morning. His name was Jaden. And Jaden used to say, Mom, you have all of these ideas and you don't finish them. And I decided that my tribute to Jaden's life and to the incredible, amazing 16 years that he lived was that I would be a finisher, not in one thing, not in a few things, but in all of my heart's desires, right? That I would finish, I would at least attempt them and finish them. And if I ever decide that I don't want to do them anymore, then I'll move on, but that I will attempt and finish. So I said, okay, let's do it. And I put in the application and immediately, and all of the information, and immediately was like told, okay, yes, you can move forward. So with that said, I now had 2 projects that I was working on. One project that I had tabled and wasn't really anticipating. So to be honest with you, I did not have the financial means to hire a contractor and come in and completely redo this space to create what I wanted, right? But if you know me, I will say, people will always say the reason they're not living their dreams is time and money. Neither of them are real excuses, right? They're just the thing that we say that we have to deal with in order to go and get our dreams. So I said, okay, we don't have money for contractors, then we'll do it ourselves. Now, if you don't know me, and if you do, this is a big deal. I say that a lot if you don't know me or if you do, but anyway, whatever, you're getting to know me. So you will soon know this about me. I am not a DIY girl. I'm not even interested. I'm not the girl that's on Instagram following all of the DIYers. I am now, but prior to this, I was not. It was not something that I was interested in. I didn't think that I even liked manual labor. But what I did know is I was committed to creating this studio and doing whatever it took to see that to fruition. So my daughter and my daughter's incredibly DIY handy. She's a builder. We got in here. I had all of the ideas visually. I knew what each space would look like. And we got in here and we created. We built walls. We did built-in bookshelves. We did wainscoting. We did textured paint on walls. We've done a ton of things to transform this studio. But where the resource comes in at is there were women in our community, of friends, of people that I go to church with, of even social media connections that I've had conversations with. Yes, even social media connections, guys, because social media is meant to be social. And if you use it to actually build your social network and connect with people, then those people become part of your circle. So we had people from all over social media, church, friends, family, women donating their time, their tools, their resources to say, hey, let's bring this thing to fruition. It was incredible. I mean, literally, we had women rolling in wagons full of saws and all sorts of power tools that I wasn't even familiar with. And in 5 weeks, we were able to finish all of the work in the studio and open our doors. I am particularly proud of that, but I'm really excited about it because there have been times in my life that I have been saying, I wish I had a circle of friends or a network of people or a community or a tribe that really made me feel supported. And it was something that I was praying for many, many years. But at the time that I was praying for it, I don't know that I was actually opening myself to receive it. And what I mean by that is this. In order to build your tribe and build your community, you have to put yourself out there. So the first thing you need to do in order to build your tribe or community is you have to be willing to get to know people and build and establish relationships with people. This is very, very important because sometimes we want things and we will believe that they aren't happening for us. But if we get really real and sit down and examine the facts of the situation, we realize that we aren't doing what it takes to have what we want. So if you're wanting to build your network of people, let's say you've just moved to a new city, that's something that is so common in 2024, and you may not know anyone. There are people that you have at work that will certainly become one circle for you in your life. But as you're navigating your new city, you're going to want to find other circles, right? Because I think that everyone has multiple circles that build up their entire community. And you will have those work people. Those work people will become your professional partners, your peers, your leaders, your work network, right? And some of those may even trickle into the acquaintance, the friend, and maybe even the hobby network. But then as you're out in the city or in the place, the state that you're living in, and you're wanting to make more connections, you have to be intentional about who is it that I want to connect with, right? Like, am I looking for people like I love kayaking or I love hiking or I love rock climbing? I personally love dance fitness. For those that don't know, I'm actually a certified mixed fit instructor, but if you love the thing, you have to go out into the community and start to connect in those areas. So if I was moving to a new community, I haven't taught dance fitness in years, but I'm still a certified instructor. But if I was looking for a community of people that I know that I can connect with, then I would find the dance fitness groups in the area. And those people would come into my community via my interest circle, right? So now I've got people in my interest circle that like dance fitness too. So those are people that I know that I can always call and say, hey, you want to go to this dance class Thursday night? And I actually even have, I'm giving you real life examples because I have real life people that will call me up and say, hey, there's a dance fitness class on Saturday. Do you want to go? And those people I get to build relationships with. And as I build relationships within that community, they also may move into my acquaintance community or my friend community. So when you're building those relationships, you have to be intentional about being open to them. And being open to them simply means putting yourself in positions to meet those people, but also opening your heart in your space to meet them, and to receive them. And when I say space, some people may say, okay, Charlene, this concept of space, I don't understand it. Space is simply, when we think of the space that is around you, you're occupying space in a room. If someone comes into your world, right, energetically, you get to either be open and welcoming to open them in and welcome them into your space, or you're closed energetically. Oftentimes, if you think of it, if you see someone in a room and they've got their arms crossed, that is closed energy. That's an example of closed energy. If someone has their arms not folded, separated, and they're open and willing, they're energetically open to receive you. Just little things like this. And I know some of you may be like, no, I may cross my arms because I'm cold. And that is true. That is a reaction of being cold, right? But just being aware of the fact that if you're doing that with your body, whether you're cold or not, that the energy that you're giving off energetically can say that I'm closed and I'm not open to meeting people. This also works for relationships and dating, but we won't talk about that right now. We'll actually have a relationship specialist on later in our programming to talk about being open to relationships and approaching partners and things like that. But if you are out and about and your intention is to meet people, being open and holding space for them. So you're open and you're welcoming them into your space, but you're also holding space for them to be whoever they are. Now, I think it's really important as we're talking about spaces and welcoming people in, it's important for you to decide, does this person even match with me? This is particularly important as you're moving through the circles. So we've talked about your work circle, we've talked about your hobby circle, but as you're putting people into these circles and they're coming into your communities, there's always an opportunity for them to build greater relationship with you. And when I say greater relationship, I mean that the more access a person has to you typically indicates the stronger the relationship. So if you're calling people your friends or your best friends, for instance, those people, in my opinion, have demonstrated a great deal of responsibility, and they are morally aligned with you, and they are value aligned, and you have similar interests, and it is a match. So this is what I'm talking about, the match versus no match. As you're moving people around or you're meeting people and you're deciding whether or not I want to spend more time, give more energy, get closer in this relationship, you get to decide if it's a match or no match. I think this is important because oftentimes people will meet people and they will think, oh, I really like this person because they're a really nice person, and we start to justify the things about that person that don't align. And oftentimes, if we're not very clear on the match or no match system, because they're a nice person, we tend to keep them around and they're not the people that we really want to have in our lives. So I'll give you an example. I was talking to a coaching client who really was interested in making friendships in her new city. We were talking about professional development and just growing totally on a personal level, like holistically, right? And so we were talking about like the people that she's attracting. And so she does not enjoy drinking or going to bars, but all of the friendships that she was engaged in were revolving around drinking and going to bars. And so her idea was, well, I really like so and so. She's a really nice person, but all she ever wants to do is drink. And so when I said earlier, like a moral match or a value match, morally, you don't have to judge them. I'm not talking about a moral compass like, oh, this is right or this is wrong. I'm talking about from a moral understanding. If you know that something is really important for you, like if you are a Christian, right? And it is the pillar of your belief system, your foundation, everything in your life is built around that, then it would be really important to you that if you're having people that have a great deal of access to you and you're spending a lot of time and energy and like these are your besties, that they shared a similar moral and value system, right? But if not, if it's something as simple as they really like to drink all the time and I don't, it doesn't matter how nice they are, right? We don't need to get caught up in that. And we don't need to think about making decisions for what it is that we want in our life means that we think someone is bad. This is why I love match or no match. It goes back to when you were a kid and you sat down and either at the table or on the floor, and there were these cards, and they might have a beach ball on one, and I think I remember a walrus on another, and you flipped one over at a time, and then you flipped another, and you were like, match or no match. If it was not a match, you didn't say, oh, it's so bad, and flip them back over, right? You're just like, no match, flipped it over, and you kept looking for a match. That is the easiest way that I believe in that I have practiced figuring out who I want to get closest to me and spend and dedicate the most time to. And that allows me also to be able to say, okay, I can have someone in my hobby circle, right? Maybe that person in my hobby circle isn't aligned with the same moral or value system with me, but we have the same interest in terms of hobbies. We can go to dance fitness together. We could go kayaking together. We could hike together and we could have a really good time, right? But they're not someone that I'm going to call when I'm going through a huge major traumatic moment, right? That's not the level of relationship that we have. And it doesn't discount them or judge them, right? It just says that that's not a space that we're in. So I think that's really important when you're building your community, that not only are you being open and intentional and ready to receive the people that you're out there meeting, but that you really have clear understanding of what your moral and value system is so that you can make the assessment, right? Not judgment, the assessment on is it match or no match. Now, some of you may say, okay, what are examples of values that I could be looking in as I'm out here making friends and doing different things? In my family, my children and I had core values that we sat out and created core values for our family. These are the foundation of our family, and these are the things that we know are important equally to all of us. For us, it was trust, love, loyalty, honesty, and respect. Now, outside of that, when I was teaching my children how to go into the community and make friends, I said to them, I know that you will want to make friends and that you may or may not assess them by our family's core values. So pick 3 core values that are important to you and you like those core values that are super important. Don't go out with a list of 20 things that people need to match, because to me, that tells me that you're not open, right? You're not open to receive friendship, to receive people coming into your life, because you're making it almost impossible for them to get super close to you. So pick a list of 3, right? And like, I'm looking for people. I think one of my daughters said that are kind, that love animals, right? And value life, and that are really smart and like to read. So those may be some examples of your core values. Now, granted, this was I think then 6-year-old that was picking these core values, but your core values are entirely up to you. The moral things that you may be deciding on may be things like, I want someone that's very honest, that has a spiritual background, and someone that, doesn't judge people, right? Those may be your values, or isn't mean to people. Like we've all heard those people that say, if you treat the servers horribly, I don't want to deal with you. Then those may be your moral values, right? And you get to assess people and determine match or no match by those things. Now, remember, no match doesn't mean I throw you out of my life and you are banished, right? And you're not able to ever have an experience with me. It just means that in terms of responsibility and closeness of the relationship and access, it just means that you don't get level 10, right? Which is full access and full responsibility to me. Shout out to Lisa Turkhurst. Want to say that because this concept of responsibility and access actually came from her book on boundaries. And it's an incredible book, but it really helps you understand. I am Christian. It talks about it from a Christian lens, from a Christian perspective, but just in thought of just how many people should have access to you and how we should create boundaries in our life, it really speaks to level of access and the responsibility of the person that you're putting in that with that level of access. So go check out that book. But getting back to the circles. So you have your work circle, you have your hobby circle. People from either of those circles can move into your acquaintance circle. And the acquaintance circle is someone that you're getting to know, right? You may even know via work, you may know via your interest in hobby groups. It could be a friend of a friend, but it's someone that you're familiar with. It's someone that you're cordial with, someone that you're courteous to, right? Like that you know of and that you may be potentially wanting to build a better relationship with, but they just haven't gained that high level of access to you yet, probably based on experience and time, maybe that you've gotten to know them. So you have your work group, you have your hobby group, and then you have your acquaintance group, and then you have your friend circle, right? So I think about the show Meet the Fockers, right? It's the circle of trust, right? That's your inner circle, your circle of trust, your very close people. This may or may not also include some of your family because your family is also its own separate circle. So when you're thinking about building community, it's so important to know that yes, you have this one overall community, but that community is made up of many subgroups, and people in between those groups may mix and mingle, but each of them are resources for you in your life, and you should also be a resource for them in their life. So in the example of my studio, it was incredible to have all of these people from all of these different groups in my life coming together to support me and to help me in opening one of my dreams, right? But if you are in corporate America and your dream or your goal is to get a promotion or to move companies, you may access the people in your work circle, in your hobby circle, in your friend circle and your acquaintance circle to see what opportunities are out there, right? To say, hey, here's what I'm up to. This is what I'm looking for. Who do you know? Who can you connect me with, right? That's still a resource. When you're in your hobby and interest circle, if you're wanting to do something, there's so many people that want to travel and say, oh, but I don't want to travel alone. Joining a travel club creates a new hobby and interest circle for you, but gives you a resource to go out into the world and have new experiences, make new connections, try new things, visit new places, right? So all of these groups are resources for you, your family. They're resources for you in terms of just that love, that affection, that support. And sometimes that doesn't exist. And so you may have a family circle. I have a family circle, right? I have my family, but then I have friends that are so close that they feel like family. And that's so important because they're the chosen ones. So I know that's a lot about having circles and building community, but let's just recap. You have this overall circle that is your community, made up of many subgroups. Each of those groups have people that may or may not move between those groups, but you get to determine if you're open, your intention in meeting people, and your ability to receive people when you do meet them. But you also get to determine your value system, your moral guide, or compass for matching people and deciding whether or not it is a match for you in getting closer and building an even deeper relationship. I think this is so important because since we were put here to be together, to do community, to have life together, You go much farther by being connected to people. I think it's important to say for those that say, I don't want people in my life, or I'm shy of people, or of all of those things. This doesn't mean that you are an extrovert or that you recharge your energy by being around people. It simply means that it is important for you to have a network of people. That network doesn't have to be 100 people. Your network, maybe 10 people across all of those groups. It's okay. You get to decide what works for you, but it is important that you build your community. And in doing so, that you know that you can reach out to your community whenever you need to access that benefit or resource that is in that community, and whenever you are ready to also pour in that. I think it's so important to say that, because sometimes when we're out in the world and we're looking for things, we think, I need this, right? And we're only very self-centered and self-motivated and driven. But it's also about holding space for others and creating the space for them to have a mutually beneficial relationship with you. I'll end this with telling you one more story that gives you an example of why community is a resource and why it's incredibly important. In your entrepreneurial journey, if you decide to be an entrepreneur, it is the biggest personal development exercise that you will ever go through. One of the most beneficial pieces to doing business as an entrepreneur and having peace of mind, or feeling like you're not crazy and it's not just you, is having a circle of interest group, right? A circle of fellow entrepreneurs that you can sit down and talk to. So the other day, I was talking to a friend who's been going through some incredible work, spending 17 hours a day to launch a business and get it off the ground. And the work that she's doing is so impactful and it's so amazing. And I'm so proud of her. But she was having a moment and she's like, listen, I've been crying off and on for the past 2 weeks. And I was like, it's okay. It's okay. I understand that, because what I do understand as an entrepreneur is that entrepreneurship is tough. There are days that you cry. There are days that you feel like, I'm going to quit. There are days that you question why you did this. There are days that you think to yourself, do I have what it takes? And people that are also in entrepreneurs, they understand, right? They understand that this does not mean that I want to quit, sell everything and go into something else. That's not what it means. It just means that I'm simply in a moment that I am challenged with my business and I need to express that, and I need to be understood and seen by other people that could relate, right? So when we got off of that text exchange, because this wasn't even like a phone call, she felt so much better because she understood that it wasn't just her. It's not that you're crazy. It's not that you're incapable, that you can't do this. You are feeling normal feelings as a business owner. And she was able to connect in that moment and just get what she needed, which was understanding. So all of your circles, all of your relationships, all of them are resources for you along the journey of life. I hope that this helps you. And I hope that these give you some skills and some tools that you can take into your life so that you can go and unpause your dreams. If you're watching this on YouTube and you have comments or questions, please drop them in the comment section. Please also hit subscribe. If you are listening to this podcast and you have comments or questions or thoughts, feel free to go and follow me on Instagram. The studio is Unpause Your Dreams on Instagram. You're free to look at that. And if you are within a driving distance of Charlotte, come and check it. And our woman, you can come and check it out. If you have questions about the podcast, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. I am Charlene Ridley. On Facebook, Charlene Ridley. I'm happy to answer your questions. Any question that comes in repeatedly that I will likely do a podcast episode as a response, but anyone that is a one-off, I'll go ahead and answer you on social. So I hope that this helps, and I hope that you take the opportunity this week to think about one or two people that you would like to have in your community, and you start to think about how you can go into the world and be open to meeting those people. And then that you take action and go do it. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Thank you. Have a great week. And there we have it. Another episode of Unpause Your Dreams comes to a close. I hope this episode inspires you to take action. Remember, even the smallest action taken daily brings you closer to achieving your dream. If today's episode resonates with you, please subscribe, leave a rating, and/or a review. It helps us reach more dreamers like you. I'm Charlene Ridley, reminding you to never let your dreams stay paused. Keep dreaming, keep growing, and until next time, keep pressing play on your dreams.